Ordo and Harmony, a world of fear versus a world of love. There was a world called Ordo in which males and females lived separately. There were villages and towns exclusively for males or females. Both groups were not allowed to interact with each other deeply by law, except when a man and a woman get married. After the wedding, After the wedding ceremony, the man and the woman moved into a house together and lived there until they gave birth to one or more children. By law, that child can only live with one parent. If the child was male, then he could only live with his father, and the mother must separate from him and leave. If the child was female, then the father must leave the house. Afterwards, the boy or the girl went to a boys only school or girls only school along with many others. He or she interacted with or played with other boys or girls, as well as befriended each other. When they became adults, each had to pick one man or one woman to marry after both groups encountered each other. Just like their parents before them, the men and the women got married and lived together until they birthed children, when either the mother or father have to leave. The cycle would continue. The purpose of those laws and customs was to keep males and females safe from harm and protect their moral character. Females only interacted with other females to protect them from abuse by males, and the males only interacted with other males to prevent them from being tempted by females into inappropriate affairs. So they were told. Long ago, when males and females lived in the same villages and towns, there were high rates of abuse and inappropriate relations. For the people living in that world, including two teenagers named Anthony and Rebecca, those social customs were good and proper. And one evening, while strolling a long trail through the forest, Anthony noticed two figures in cloaks moving through thick vegetation in the shadows after they stamped a pamphlet on a tree. He followed them from a distance to avoid alerting them to his presence. The two hooded figures reached a thick and tall tree and climbed a wooden ladder to a treehouse. Anthony, hiding behind another tree, saw the hooded figures enter the treehouse. He quietly walked up to the ladder. He snuck up to the ladder and climbed up. He stopped a few feet below the treehouse when he heard the voices of the two characters. "Are you sure that you made the right choice in placing the pamphlet on the tree near the trail?" the first mysterious person asked. "I'm sure of it," the second mysterious person confirmed. "I used to hike on the trail a lot. It's one of the most popular trails for boys and men." "I understand. I suggest we observe the trail and the pamphlet the next evening to see which male would be curious enough to read it and meet us at this treehouse." Curious about what the two mysterious characters were doing, Anthony continued to climb upward until his head reached the treehouse opening, where he saw them with a lit lantern. "Hello, what are you two doing in this forest?" he said. The two characters gasped, afraid of what Anthony would do to them if he found out why they placed the pamphlet on that tree. "Please don't turn us in to the authorities. Please don't turn us into the authorities. We didn't do anything wrong," the second character pleaded. "No worries. You didn't break any of the laws of Ordo," Anthony assured them, "although it's strange that you stamped that piece of paper on the tree by that trail. And who are you?" "I'm Deborah, and this is my friend Jonah," the first hooded person said. Anthony was shocked. How could a male and a female be friends with each other? That was against the laws of Ordo. Plus, he wasn't supposed to have deep interactions with a girl he's not married to. Deborah continued, we're inviting anyone who is curious enough to visit another world called Harmony and participate in a meeting with us. Jonah and I currently live in that world where males and females coexist in the same towns and villages. Deborah and I used to live in the male-only society and female-only societies of Ordo, respectively, Jonah added. When we first visited Harmony, the people who lived there told us that separating males and females into two different societies does more harm than good. They may be safe from abuse or seduction to improper relations, but they're not safe from something that is worse than those two things: the fear in their hearts. Fear of what people in the other group might do to them if they interacted deeply. For a moment, Anthony was speechless. He couldn't believe that the costs of separating males and females outweighed the benefits. Eventually, he regained his ability to speak again. Well, the fear of abuse and temptation is what has kept us safe from them. That's why our societies are much safer than when males and females live together, for the most part. Deborah countered Anthony's justification. Where would you rather be? In Ordo, where you and all the others, male and female, live under the illusion of safety, but also under the bondage of fear? Or in Harmony, where males and females freely love each other and never abuse or seduce each other for their own gain, therefore truly be safe and free? That's something important for you to think about, Anthony, Jonah suggested. We'll wait for you tomorrow evening in this treehouse so that we know whether you want to come with us to Harmony or not. I'll think about it, Anthony stated. Good. We'll see you then, Deborah said, smiling. Deborah and Jonah touched the lantern. Then 3 seconds later, they disappeared along with it in a flash. Anthony wondered how they could do that, but that didn't matter to him right now. Throughout the next day, Anthony thought about what Deborah and Jonah told him last night. He had an uncomfortable thought about males and females living together in the world of Harmony and expecting that no harm could come to them. He didn't understand why they would prioritize free love and freedom over order and safety. On the other hand, he wanted to know if Harmony was a better place than Ordo. So he decided to go with Deborah and Jonah and see for himself. Later in the evening, Anthony returned to the treehouse where Jonah and Deborah were waiting. He told them that he was going to Harmony with them. We're glad that you decided to come with us, Anthony, Deborah stated. Deborah and I don't think you'll regret visiting the beautiful society of Harmony, nor will another person who will also come with us, Jonah proclaimed. Rebecca, the red-haired teenage girl, approached the trio and greeted Jonah and especially Deborah warmly, but she waved at Anthony weakly. He did the same towards her. Since they knew that it was against the law of Ordo to engage each other on a deep level, they would mostly ignore each other just to be safe. We understand you two are afraid of each other, but that fear will go away as time goes on, and your hearts will be at ease when you decide to accept each other, Deborah stated. Anthony and Rebecca were skeptical about Deborah's statement, yet they were too curious to dismiss it completely. The four characters placed their hands on the lantern and vanished in a few seconds. It was nighttime, just like in Ordo, when Deborah, Jonah, Anthony, and Rebecca landed at a beautiful park in the world of harmony. Deborah and Jonah took the hoods of their heads, took the hoods off their heads, fully exposing them. Deborah's black braids complemented her dark brown skin, and Jonah's golden hair shined slightly brighter than his light skin. We have to keep the hoods over our heads while on Ordo so that the authorities can't easily identify us, Jonah said. Otherwise, our mission there would be compromised, Deborah added. The group walked through the park and left it. Along the way, Anthony and Rebecca looked around and noticed that the environment of Harmony was similar to that of Ordo, having forests, grass fields, villages, and towns. But the houses and other buildings were made of marble and gold, whereas those of Ordo were made of wood and brick. And the villages and towns, as well as the population, were a lot better. I'm sorry. Uh, the, vil- the population of those towns and villages were a lot fewer in number than on Ordo. Those buildings are stunning, Rebecca remarked. I couldn't agree more, Anthony said. They looked at each other with a smile for a brief moment before they dropped those smiles, before they dropped them and looked straight ahead. The group reached a medium-sized building at the center of the town where dozens of people were walking, cycling, or skating. They entered the building and went into a large lit room filled with 8 people who were sitting at a round table, 5 females and 3 males. This scene was unsettling for Rebecca and Anthony, males and females sitting together in the same room. The leaders of Ordo would be strongly against it. Hello, Deborah and Jonah. I'm glad you two made it here, said a woman with curly blonde hair, and I see you brought guests. The other 7 people at the table turned their attention to the group and smiled at them warmly. Anthony and Rebecca were surprised that the males would quickly welcome her, while the females did the same to him. The blonde woman motioned for the group to sit in 4 empty chairs, and they did so. My name is Sophie. It's nice to meet you both, the blonde woman told Anthony and Rebecca. They introduced themselves in return. Sophie continued, We are here to discuss the progress of our mission to invite people from Ordo to explore Harmony, to find out if it's a better place than Ordo for themselves. Does anyone want to give a report? Samantha, Luke, and I placed pamphlets in a few towns and villages through Ordo without getting caught, a teenage girl named Miku uttered. The 3 of us, as well as the rest of you, hope that those like Anthony and Rebecca here will be free from the bondage of fear and accept the warm embrace of love. They, as male and female, can be in harmony like we are. Samantha and Luke, sitting next to Miku, nodded in agreement. While Rebecca and Anthony are exploring this beautiful and blissful world, they'll likely feel the weight of fear lifted off their shoulders and the warm blanket of love, a young man named Julian added. That is if they are willing. That is exactly why we wanted Deborah and Jonah to bring Anthony and Rebecca here, Sophie proclaimed. Do you two want to travel through Harmony with us tomorrow? Initially, Anthony and Rebecca were hesitant, but then they saw their offer as an opportunity for a better life, even if they don't necessarily agree with them. So, they both accepted the offer. Good. We look forward to our travels together, Sophie said. The next day, Anthony and Rebecca returned to Harmony with Jonah and Deborah. Sophie guided them as well as Miku, Samantha, Luke, Julian, and the other three who were in the meeting as they were traveling. Along the way, they encountered a town and a village filled with friendly people. They also went through a few parks and forests. They even played hide and seek together for fun. While all of that was happening, Anthony and Rebecca felt the burden of Ordo, Ordo law prohibiting male and female interaction getting lighter and lighter until it was replaced by the fresh air of love, joy, and peace. They even interacted with each other a bit more. Later, Deborah and Jonah were about to take Anthony and Rebecca back to Ordo when suddenly the shadow of fear came back upon the two. I don't want to go back to Ordo. Rebecca and I will likely be punished by the authorities. Besides, we both like it here. Yeah, if we get caught interacting with each other and they find out we've been here, we might not be able to see you all again. Miku hugged Rebecca and then Anthony to comfort them, and the light of love overcame the shadow of fear. We understand the difficult situation you two are in, Miku stated sympathetically, but remember this. Love is always inside you, and you will overcome it. Show that love to the people of Ordo, and encourage them to come to Harmony and experience the bliss like you have. Deborah said, We believe in you, Anthony and Rebecca, Jonah proclaimed. Anthony and Rebecca thanked Miku, Deborah, and Jonah for their encouragement. They needed it. Rebecca, Anthony, you both are welcome to visit us at any time, or even live amongst us, Sophie said with a warm smile. The two smiled back at Sophie and the others with her, before they departed with Deborah and Jonah, before they were escorted by Deborah and Jonah back to Ordo. Anthony and Rebecca would secretly tell family, friends, and others about their pleasant experiences at Harmony, and that the males and females never did the very things the authorities were afraid of: abuse and temptation. They also encouraged the people to come to Harmony with them. Meanwhile, the relationship between the two became stronger and warmer. Over time, some people wanted to visit Harmony or live there along with Anthony and Rebecca, who decided to move there. Some were hesitant, and others strongly refused. For those who went to Harmony, their lives were changed forever, and told those in Ordo about their experiences. Also, the influence of Harmony would spill over to Ordo and change that society for the better. The end.